Hi, everyone. The beginning of the week, wanted to say hello, and I wanted to continue with the Susie Gablick that I shared last week. The Reenchantment of Art was the book, and a lot of you really responded to that wonderfully. That was great. Um, and I was looking through the book, looking for a section to share, and I put a pause on that because I want this to stay more focused for us as painters. And it's a wonderful book, but she really moves into um, different kinds of work that are more community based in terms of the action or environmentally based. And it's great. But I was looking for something that would continue the line that would fit for us as painters. What does it mean to expand our context now, the way she's talking about expanding the context of what it means to make art, what it means to be engaged in art making aesthetics and all of that. And what does that mean? I wanted to talk about in terms of being a painter. And so I thought of bringing something else by Mary Jane Jacob, who's a freelance curator. I think she taught for a number of years, maybe still affiliated with the Art Institute, School of Art Institute at Chicago. And she's done all kinds of amazing stuff. Everything I've read by her is fantastic. I first found her through a book, a catalog of contemporary art that is influenced by Buddhism. I'm trying to remember the Buddha Mind in Contemporary Art, something like that. Great catalog, great book, in lots of ways. I recommend it. And I've just followed what she's written over the years. And she recently, not so recently, some years ago, came out with a book on John Dewey called Dewey for Artists. And she's trying to bring John Dewey up to our time now, make it more available and accessible to, yeah, like this, I'm good. Make John Dewey's thinking and his writing more accessible for contemporary artists. And so John Dewey was an American philosopher and educator and psychologist or education reform, maybe. And he was born in 1859, died in, I think, 1956. No. Yeah, maybe, or 52, something like that. Anyway, long life. He wrote a book called Art as Experience, talking about art is not located in the object. Art is actually the experience that occurs in people. Art as experience. It's a great book. I started it. I didn't read the whole thing. It's really long and dense. I mean, could have really, but I read a lot of it and it's very good. Anyway, she takes that and makes it available in a much more contemporary way. And let's see, John Dewey was friends with Albert Barnes of the Barnes Collection, Barnes Foundation out in Philadelphia. And interesting. All of it's really interesting. And I wanted to read from this book, a section. I can share that with you. So that's my intro. And I guess also, I wrote an essay about 10 years ago relating to painting and how painting may actually help or contribute to things in a larger context. I mean, that's a lot of my thinking, a lot of my concerns, and been writing about it over the years. I'm in the middle of something now, but I'll put a link to the essay I wrote, how painting can help save the world, actually. And yeah, I mean it, actually. And it's online in the Painting Perceptions website. If you don't know Painting Perceptions, it's a fabulous website. put together by Larry Groff, and it's a labor of love, and it's chock full of tons of great stuff related to painting, interviews, essays, just fantastic. And I mean, we're all indebted to Larry for all that he's put into it over the years. So this essay was put up there about 10 years ago, something like that. What else? It's too hot out here. As they say, it's just warming up. Okay, on that note, I'm going to skip the introduction. Here's a picture of him. Friendly guy. And I'm going to move to, past the introduction, part one, the artist's process. The whole book is great, really, but I'm making. We are what we make. Dewey's revolution was to value the making. With that in mind, he attempted to construct a philosophy of life for a rapidly growing America in the throes of industrial and ideological change at the turn of the 20th century. Quote, I think the whole problem of understanding should be approached not from the point of view of the eyes, but from the point of view of the hands, unquote, he said. What is making? To Dewey, it was far more than bringing something into existence and giving it concrete form. We carry an interest through a process of inquiry. Care is invested with the hope that something new can be achieved and the outcome will have been worth the effort. Making is vitalizing, Dewey observed, because it feels vitally important and can only be understood by carrying it out. The aliveness experienced by makers in the process derives from what they truly care about. Thus, the creative act is quite literally a life force. Making is central to being an artist. During the process, the artist cares about bringing something to pass in an especially intense way for a time, so focused that all else seems to fade from sight, so passionately possessed in the undertaking that the bounds of time and effort become irrelevant. During the making, life feels uncharacteristically centered, and the calm that comes with clear intent sustains the uncertainty of creating something new. Projects, as many contemporary artists have come to be, as many contemporary artists' work have come to be called, also carry this singular sense of searching that is renewed time and again with each new undertaking. And this happens too when collaborations are acts of co-making among dedicated and invested persons. Each party, as its knowledge is valued, sometimes for the first time, unlocks its own questions. For a curator, the enterprise of exhibitions has a similar sensation, all-consuming, requiring gestation as well as concerted development, so that ideas can arise, then be honed as one lives the project. So today, curators care not only for the work entrusted to them, but also for the shape of the show or project they make, expanding what is at the root of being a curator. Curare, to care. This is a bond artists and curators share. It lives in the co-evolution of ideas and shared, laser-sharp view into all the details of the enterprise that make each aspect urgently important at the moment of making. Next section, caring for culture. And this is about 2.5 pages. And then we'll pause. Making is more than the province of the artist or craftsman or curator. Any work undertaken with care and attention by a committed, invested maker can become art. When we say that tennis playing, this is a quote, when we say that tennis playing, singing, acting, and a multitude of other activities are arts, we engage in an elliptical way of saying that there is art in the conduct of these activities. John Dewey even looked, unquote. John Dewey even looked to his making as a philosopher, quote, knowledge and propositions, which are the products of thinking, are works of art, as much so as statuary and symphonies, unquote. Art emerges as a quality of doing. And since it adheres to the manner of doing, art is adverbial in nature. In 1934, Dewey wrote, quote, the intelligent mechanic engaged in his job, interested in doing well and finding satisfaction in his handiwork, caring for his materials and tools with genuine affection, is artistically engaged. The difference between such a worker and the inept and careless bungler is as great in the shop as it is in the studio, unquote. This creative potential inside everyone, not just those who identify as artists, was key to Dewey's philosophy of life and education decades before Joseph Beuys, he was a German performance artist, educator, decades before Joseph Beuys pronounced, everyone is an artist. When later still, Robert Pirsig thought back to the work of a couple of guys who messed up his bike's oil delivery system in the 1974 classic, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. He also uncannily built his case around the profession of a mechanic. Quote, they were uninvolved, had no identification with the job, were removed, and did not put care into what they did, unquote. He further explained, quote, a person who sees quality and feels it as he works is a person who cares. A person who cares about what he sees and does is a person who's bound to have some characteristics of quality, with a capital Q, quality, unquote. And he cited the difference between a good mechanic and a bad one, like the difference between a good mathematician and a bad one, is precisely this ability to select the good facts from the bad ones on the basis of quality. He has to care, exclamation mark. In the end, Pirsig determined the ill-suited mechanics were, quote, spectators. Okay, I'm going to pause there. Maybe I'll pick up next time. Maybe we'll pause there. So you're right. What does that mean for us as painters? To care, to be concerned with quality, to not be a spectator, right? To really be engaged in that way. What is that? And how do we strengthen our care? How do we strengthen our sense of quality? What does that entail? And then we'll continue. How does that actually, I mean, that's about us making something, but how does that fit into some larger picture? Thinking about the concerns of Susie Gablik and the times we're in. All right. That's it for today. I will, this is a wrap. Hope you're well. And keep painting. Keep making stuff. So we'll all do our best to make stuff with quality. Okay, take care. Be well. Bye-bye.